America is the richest country in the world oh, why does life feel so poor for so many of us? This isn't a temporary crisis. This isn't a rough phase. This is daily life for millions of people living in a country that still calls itself the land of opportunity. And if you're living it, you don't need statistics to know it's real. But let's talk about them anyway, because you need to know you're not alone. More than 38 million Americans live below the official poverty line. Over 44 million people struggle with food insecurity. Every single night, more than 650,000 Americans sleep without a home. And over half of working adults cannot afford a $500 emergency. Let that sink in the wealthiest nation on earth. One unexpected bill can destroy your life. Meanwhile, the top 1% control over 30% of the country's wealth, while the bottom 50% share just 2%. This didn't happen by accident. And we know, because we lived it, we're a low-income family that we've experienced food insecurity that we've lived. Without affordable health care, that we've lost jobs through no fault of our own. And we've lived in a constant state of exhaustion, the kind that sleep doesn't fix, the mental exhaustion of doing everything right and still falling behind, that we followed the rules, that we worked hard, we lived frugally, that we avoided debt, that we bought secondhand, that we fixed things instead of replacing them, that we grew food, that we lived below our means. We were told this was the formula. But no matter how disciplined we were, no matter how responsible we try to be, we could never truly get ahead. And neither could the people around us. For most of our lives, we lived in the Southern Appalachian region, East Tennessee, later Southwest Virginia, to hardworking communities, good people, strong values, and endless struggle. This story isn't just about us, it's about our parents, our grandparents, our neighbors, our friends, people working in factories, construction sites, slaughterhouses, schools, hospitals, caregivers, teachers, CNAs, jobs society cannot function without. Yet somehow, they don't pay a living wage. Everyone working, everyone exhausted, everyone one bad month away from disaster. That constant fear, your car breaking down, getting sick, missing a few days of work, one medical bill that wipes out everything. That's not freedom, that's survival mode. And that's what life feels like for millions of Americans, that you're told to hustle harder, grind more, sacrifice more, that you're told that if you're struggling, it must be your fault. But here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. You can work multiple jobs every single day of your life and still never afford a home, medical care, or a truly healthy food. That is not a personal failure. That is what happens when a country turns basic human needs into profit opportunities. Healthcare becomes a business. Food becomes a commodity. Housing becomes an investment asset. And people become disposable. 1 in 8 Americans relies on food banks or government assistance just to eat. Rents have doubled in many towns while wages barely moved. Healthcare costs are the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States. And in rural areas, no hospitals for miles, and no public transportation, and no options. If you're poor in America, you're expected to survive a system that was never designed for you. So eventually, we asked ourselves a question that changed everything. What if the problem isn't us? What if the system itself is broken, not by accident, but by design? And once we allowed ourselves to ask that question, we made a decision most people don't even believe is possible, that we left. We weren't chasing luxury. We weren't looking for riches. We were just trying to survive with dignity. We started traveling through Southeast Asia, Thailand, Vietnam, places we've been told our entire lives were poor or third world. What we found shattered everything we thought we knew. When we left the United States, we didn't leave with a grand plan. There was no master strategy, and escape fantasy, and no promise that everything would magically get better. We were simply exhausted. Exhausted from doing everything right and still falling behind. Exhausted from living one emergency away from losing everything. Exhausted for being told that struggle was normal, that this was just how life worked. So we left, not to chase a dream, but to breathe. What we discovered almost immediately forced us to confront an uncomfortable truth that in countries America often labels as developing or third world, we found people living on far less money, yet living far better lives. And not because they were richer, but because their societies were built differently. Let's talk about healthcare, because this is where the illusion completely falls apart. While traveling through Vietnam, our 2-year-old suffered a head injury. Any parent knows that panic that we rushed to the emergency room, terrified, shaking, bracing ourselves for the cost. Our child was treated immediately, professionally, with care and compassion. The final bill? Just over $7. No insurance, no paperwork, no debt. $7 in the United States. That same visit could cost hundreds, even thousands of dollars with insurance. That moment changed everything for us, because it exposed a truth we've been conditioned not to question. Healthcare does not have to bankrupt people to function. In Thailand, there is universal healthcare. In Vietnam, over 90% of the population is covered by public health insurance, and the quality, efficient, accessible, human. No one fears going to the doctor. No one delays care because of cost. No one chooses between rent and survival. Now ask yourself something honestly. Why is that considered impossible in America? And then there's food. The food here isn't a luxury. It isn't gated behind wealth. It's fresh, local, affordable. Neighborhood markets on every corner. Vegetables, fruit, meat, spices grown nearby, sold by families. Even low-income households eat well. Not because they're rich, but because food hasn't been fully handed over to corporations. Compare that to rural America, where processed food is cheaper than fresh food, where grocery stores are miles away, where fast food is often the only option. This isn't coincidence, that's the outcome of policy choices. And then there's community. This part hit us the hardest. In many of these countries, families live together, elders are respected, children are valued, neighbors know each other, people look out for one another. And even as foreigners, outsiders, we felt safe, welcomed, included, especially with our child. That sense of belonging was something we didn't even realize we'd lost back home. Now let's be clear, this is not about hating America. There are incredible things about being American: innovation, diversity, creativity. We still love parts of our identity. But loving something doesn't mean refusing to see its flaws. And the truth is, for millions of people, life in America isn't just hard, it's broken. We were told our whole lives that if we worked hard enough, sacrificed enough, kept our heads down, everything would be okay. But what we've learned overseas is this: a good quality of life isn't about chasing more money, that it's about priorities. These countries aren't perfect, in no places, but they prioritize healthcare, affordable housing, transportation, community, care, basic human dignity, while in America, those things are increasingly treated as privileges, not rights. When people ask us, wasn't it scary to leave? Our answer is always the same. No, what's scary is being one hospital visit away from losing everything. What's scary is watching people you love break down from stress, debt, and isolation. What's scary is knowing that no matter how hard you work, the system isn't built for you to win. That's fear. If you're struggling right now, if you're exhausted, if you feel anxious or trapped, hear this clearly. It is not your fault. You are not lazy. You're not broken. You are not failing. You are surviving inside a system that was never designed for your success. It was designed to extract from you. We were all sold the same story. Work hard, follow the rules, keep grinding, and you'll achieve the American dream. But for most people, that dream no longer exists. Housing costs have exploded. Healthcare costs have skyrocketed. Education costs have doubled. Food costs keep rising. Meanwhile, wages have barely moved in decades. At the same time, billionaires multiply their wealth. Corporations pay little to no taxes. And ordinary people are told to budget better. This is not coincidence. This is policy. People often tell us wages are lower in those countries. And yes, that's true. But here's what they don't tell you. Even with lower wages, people can still afford housing, food, healthcare, transportation, and still have money left over. In the US, many people go into debt just to survive. Lower wages don't matter if the cost of living is humane. We have personally lost family members due to the healthcare crisis in America. Not just lives, but homes. We've watched neighbors lose jobs, lose hope, lose everything. And still, we're told it's our responsibility to fix it. But you cannot fix a system that is controlled by money when you don't have any. America has the resources that IT has, the wealth that IT has, the technology. What it lacks is the political will to prioritize people over profit. And that realization is why we left. Not because we hate America, but because we wanted to live. So here's the part we need to talk about carefully, because not everyone can leave, and that matters. When people hear our story, some say, "That's great for you, but I can't just pack up and move to another country." And they're right. Family responsibilities, health issues, immigration barriers, financial limits, emotional ties. For many people, leaving is not an option. But here's the truth that matters just as much. Even if you stay, you still deserve a life, not just survival. The most dangerous thing about the system isn't just poverty, that it's normalization, that you're told that being stressed is normal, that being exhausted is normal, that being constantly worried about money is normal, that it's not, that it's learned. And the first step toward change is questioning the story you were handed. Ask yourself this: who benefits when I believe my suffering is my fault? Who profits when I think I just need to work harder? Who wins when I blame myself instead of the system? You're not failing because you didn't hustle enough. You're struggling because basic human needs in America have been turned into profit opportunities. Housing, healthcare, food, education. These are not luxuries. They are foundations. And when a society treats foundations like products, people collapse. So if leaving isn't an option, what is? The answer isn't simple, but it starts with priorities. Not the priorities the system pushes on you, but your priorities. What does a good life actually mean to you? Is it endless consumption or health? Is it chasing status or peace? Is it isolation or community? These are uncomfortable questions, but powerful ones. Because when you start answering them honestly, the system loses its grip. Maybe it means growing some of your own food, supporting local farmers, learning how to eat well on less. Maybe it means rebuilding community, talking to neighbors, sharing resources, supporting each other. Maybe it means learning financial literacy, not to get rich, but to stay free from unnecessary debt. Maybe it means rejecting hustle culture and choosing sustainability. Small choices don't fix broken systems, but they protect your humanity inside them. And then there's the hardest truth of all. Freedom doesn't always mean having more options. Sometimes it means refusing to accept what you were told was normal. The system wants you quiet, tired, ashamed, because tired people don't organize, ashamed people don't question, exhausted people don't imagine alternatives that we're often told. This is the best it gets. But history proves that's not true. Every major improvement in human life, labor rights, weekends, child labor laws, public education, came from people refusing to accept suffering as inevitable. Not from billionaires, from ordinary people. That if you're watching this and feeling overwhelmed, that's okay. You don't need to change everything today. Awareness comes before action, and awareness is powerful. Because once you see the system clearly, you stop blaming yourself. That we want to be clear about something. This isn't about telling you what to do, that it's about reminding you of something you may have forgotten. You deserve healthcare without fear, food without shame, housing without desperation, rest without guilt, community without isolation. That is not entitlement. That is dignity. Leaving the United States, work for US IT may not be right for everyone, but the lesson goes far beyond geography. This journey taught us that a good life is not about chasing wealth, that it's about safety, connection, health, time, peace. Things no system should make you earn through suffering. That if there's one thing we hope you take away from this story, it's this: you're not broken. The system is. And once you stop internalizing that failure, you start reclaiming your power. If this story resonated with you, if it put words to something you've been feeling, if it made you feel less alone, then you're exactly who this was made for. That we're going to continue sharing what we learn, not just about different countries, but about different ways of living. Healthier, more human, more connected. Because this isn't just about finding a new place to live, that it's about finding a new way to live. And if you want to explore that journey with us, subscribe to the channel, not for answers, but for honest conversations. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And most importantly, thank you for refusing to suffer in silence.